Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Probably never a true word was spoken. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar. Today we're at the fabulous Wayfare on Freret Street, which is a couple of blocks down from Napoleon Avenue, heading toward Jefferson. There are no roadworks here. You can park anywhere you want. It's a fabulous bar. Yeah, they have food that's half price and drinks that are half price for 3 hours every day, handily from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you take a look around, Asher can move the camera around the whole bar, you'll see there's not a solitary person in here. Not one. Because it's the middle of summer. Well, it's not even the middle of summer, it's the beginning of summer. Except those of us sitting around here about to entertain you and ourselves for the next 60 minutes on Happy Hour. And I'm joined by a very eclectic bunch of people today. The fabulous John Lisi is back from John Lisi and Delta Funk, who's making his, what appearance back on the show. Third, fourth?
Third, yeah.
Third time?
Holy
back.
shit, how you like that?
We're looking forward to hearing from you. How have you been? You have your beautiful Dobro in your hand.
Yeah, I've
ready
been great,
to play.
man. Doing great.
You look good.
Thanks.
You
right
look
back at you.
younger than ever.
Hey, man, I keep getting younger as I drink more.
What's the secret is alcohol. And then to my right is John Hebert. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yes, you did, sir.
It's John.
Yes.
I thought so. Hebert I know because it's spelled the Cajun way. Are you Cajun, actually?
Yes. My dad was David Hebert from Houma. And, my grandfather got kicked out of elementary school because he refused to speak English.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was he speaking? He only spoke Cajun French?
Yeah, only spoke Cajun French. I took 4 semesters of French at LSU so I could speak it to my grandfather, and he turned around and looked at my dad and goes, "Is that what you send him to that fancy college school for, to speak that fancy French?" He was a tough old guy, you know. I loved him, but he was a tough old bastard.
What did he do? Was he a shrimper or something?
He was. He was actually a riverboat pilot and a shrimper and all that.
Wow, he's the real thing.
Oh, yeah.
He was almost like a stereotype.
Pretty much.
Is your family tied into Bobby Hebert's family?
We used to joke that was a cousin, and then my grandfather met his dad, and we are first cousins.
No shit.
Yeah, so we are related
come
to
on.
cousin Bobby.
Good question, John. Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, is your first cousin.
His dad and my grandfather are first cousins. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have his phone number on you?
No, I don't.
Because he's probably on WWL right now. We could call him.
Yeah,
on
let's
their
call
show.
him. Yeah,
Right.
let's
idea.
let's bitch about Saints draft picks. Yeah, let's
But
do that.
if you call him and say, "I got an Hebert here," he might be like, "No fucking way."
All right, okay. Do you ever hang out with him?
No, I've met him once, but I didn't get into all that.
You're not invited to the family crawfish boil, and where does he even live? In
Believe it
Metairie,
or
I
not, now
suppose.
Hebert is considered the most prominent Cajun name in South Louisiana.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're
behind Guidry, ahead of Guidry, and
I had a Guidry and
Everything.
Robichaux and Thibodeau, and I'm actually related to some Robichauxs and Thibodeaux through marriage.
right.
Bergeron's got to be up there.
Who?
Bergeron's got to be up there
Bergeron?
too. That's got to be
Right.
up
Oh,
there.
yeah. Yeah.
But you heard my jersey. I said Bergeron first.
Did you really?
Yeah,
No,
I had to
no,
fix myself. Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
that's bad. Are you married to anybody, John?
No, I'm not.
And yet you're the king of love.
Yeah, trying to be.
Yeah. You see his T-shirt?
Self-love.
Have you seen Aidi? Come on, this is Aidi Kansas who's here
Hi.
as well. Hi, Aidi, and Aidi is spelled A-I-D-I.
Yes.
Now, is that your real name?
It is. It is.
And what about Kansas?
That is also
That's
my
your ring.
married.
Kicks ass.
I know. Oh, thanks.
Wow.
I know.
So you've never actually been Miss Kansas.
No.
You're only
No,
Mrs.
no.
Kansas.
I am a Mrs. Kansas. Yes.
And where does Mr. Kansas come from? Is he from here?
He's from New Orleans.
That's such an unusual name.
It is. It is. It's got Russian roots, and I think they abbreviated it or chopped it off when they came to Ellis Island.
It was originally Kansas Shinsky or something?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
yeah.
know what it was, though, for real?
I mean, I've been in the conversation. I've walked around. I've heard them, talk about the last name,
But you
and I
didn't
don't.
pay any attention.
Well, no. Now you're putting me on the spot.
That is pretty bad. How long have you been married for?
A long time.
How long?
Oh my God. Another spot. 24 years.
24 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
And so
thanks.
you're like a part of the Kansas family
Oh,
now.
I am.
And yet
I
you've
am.
never really paid attention to where
I
they
did.
come
I
from.
paid attention. It was like
It's-
conscious or something. I'm like, conscious? Hey, hold on.
Okay.
That's all about my work.
That's what you do.
Uh-huh.
So, Aidi, you painted pet portraits originally.
I did.
And
I
then
did.
you gave all that up to concentrate on
Well, what happened was I was a painter, and over 18 years, the use of my hand, wear and tear, just took over, and I was having so many problems. I had major surgery on my wrist. I had a shredded ligament and a bone separation, and it was just getting really hard to paint. And so at that time, my mom was diagnosed with ALS, and I was struggling with, just dealing with that and taking care of her. And, the level of my intuition, everything kind of got, more intense as my mom's illness progressed. And
why would that be? What's the connection?
I think when you are presented with a thing in your family, an illness or something major is about to go down in your life, you can either process it, you can look to religion, you can look to yourself, your friends, your family, but it can change you forever. And for me, because my mom and I were so spiritual, what it did was it unleashed my sixth sense.
Talking of which, you just made Andrew Duhon manifest.
Here I am.
I can do that.
That's good job, Aidi. Andrew, this is Aidi Kansas.
Hey, Heidi.
Hi.
Good to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you.
And this is John Hebert.
Hey, John.
This is Andrew
Nice to meet you,
Duhon.
Andy. Good to meet you.
And you know John Lisi.
Good to see you, brother.
Andrew, where have you been that you're so late? What happened?
I was on the other side of town, and there's
He was saving
a
lives.
couple of train tracks and
Yeah.
maybe a raging river to cross.
You look good, though, with your hair all messed up and everything.
Thanks. I got a Colorado camping cheek beard right now going on. You see that? It's nice, huh?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
You look healthy. Everyone
Thanks.
looks very healthy today.
Oh, good.
As do you,
maybe
man.
my eyesight's all fucked up or something. So, Andrew, we were just talking about the connection between ALS and intuition. Hey, what have you
Beard
got?
oil.
Oh, nice.
So I have a client who makes beard oils.
Beard oil.
And- yeah.
You just happen to have that in
Do you
your...
have
Yeah.
another client that makes THC oil? Just in case, let me know.
Well, no, it's actually, I like the scent. So I usually wear it when I need
yeah.
to do, it's nice.
Let me
What
get
would
a
you
look
call
at
that scent? What
I
is
got a
it?
beard.
It's called Lady Love.
Can we apply it? Can John?
Lady
Yeah,
Love.
you can.
Yeah.
Everyone. You got a
Whoa.
little something.
That's
Yeah, it's
pretty
What
nice.
does it smell like?
It smells good.
Yeah.
How would you describe the smell before I...
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's
It's nice,
fresh,
huh?
fresh smell.
Right.
Very nice. And so where do you put that? On your neck and your wrists?
So, I it smells
Quite
good.
refreshing.
Johnny
Everywhere.
likes it.
Everywhere.
And so what is
I'm
this?
even taking a drop.
So what does
Huh?
this guy do when he makes this beard?
Well,
He's got-
okay, so he's in prison, and yes,
stop
no,
there.
yeah, but
We got a whole hour to kill on that. Let's see what happened.
I have clients from all walks of life, and so the thing is, this guy is very creative, and
How did he get into jail?
so
don't
yeah,
wanna
no,
know.
I can't reveal all
Wasn't
that
he
information.
creative enough to get out
No,
of jail?
it's the thing is he wasn't. This part of him, the creative part of him, was never cultivated in his family, and so when men are not allowed to be creative, that energy has to go somewhere, and so when it's suppressed, it can turn into destructive energy.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't know, and I just found this out, was Hitler actually was a painter and a very talented painter,
Okay.
and he wasn't
You
allowed.
didn't know that Hitler was a painter?
I knew he was a painter, but I didn't know he wasn't. He didn't get into painting school. I didn't know that he just didn't make the cut to get into art school, and so because he didn't make the cut, that part of him was just kind of left to not flourish.
You're
and
not
so,
going to suggest that Hitler killed 6 million Jews, Catholics,
Because
and
he couldn't
gays
paint?
because
I am
because
saying
he didn't
that.
get into school?
Yeah, pretty much.
I
It's
actually would-
destructive
You heard that?
energy. Men
I
have to
would
be
put
able
it-
to create. Yes.
Stemming from that, though, I would say it had a lot to do with drug addiction and a lot to do with like adult children of alcoholic syndrome.
Hitler's case.
Hitler had a stepfather who like beat the living you know what out of him.
No, I
and
didn't
was
know
a
that.
drunk and all that, and was
So
a
abuse?
defrocked actually rabbi. And then his mom
What?
was a single mom raising him. And in case you didn't know,
Wait. Come on, you have to stop there. Hitler's father was a rabbi.
his stepfather.
Okay.
They're not
Hitler's-
sure. They're not sure about his real father. His stepfather was a defrocked rabbi who was
Where
an
did you hear
alcoholic.
this one?
You can look all this stuff up. It's
Look
all
up
in
on the
there.
internet. Grayson.
Yeah. Okay.
Grayson
The Japanese at the beginning of World War II invented methamphetamine. And Hitler, who was such an anti-drug and anti-smoking guy that they had him like Photoshop cigarettes and vodka out of his pictures with Stalin, because Stalin was such a drunk and cigarette smoker.
This is before there was Photoshop.
Yeah. Well, he thought that.
Whatever
Oh
they-
yeah. The Nazis never brought pictures for him.
So if you could have enlarged those photos of Hitler, you would be chopping them out and
Yeah, they were chopping out the cigarette in Stalin's hand and the bottle of vodka that he constantly had with him. But this is the thing. Hitler got hooked on methamphetamine. He thought it was the best thing ever.
Well, it is one of them.
They actually thought, like, the Blitzkrieg do that. They were feeding all the German soldiers. If you wonder how they move so quickly across Europe, methamphetamine. But the great thing is like, if you watch ADD adults and you give them all this stuff, on the upswing, it improves performance. But on the downswing, that's all the paranoia. You know, like, I don't care if Napoleon couldn't fight a war and winter. I'm different. I'm Hitler. He got the bright idea to invade Russia in December.
Right, which was...
That was all on the downswing of the addiction.
Because everything up must
to
come down.
methamphetamine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know this because you were working in the psychiatric...
Yeah, because I was a
industry.
psychiatric nurse, but also I'm not religious. She was mentioning spiritual. I'm not religious, but I studied kind of like how Siddhartha became Buddha, Jesus became Jesus, but I also studied things like how Hitler became Hitler.
Okay.
There's actually
I'm a little nervous now.
No, there's a Chinese saying that says...
Are you dangerous?
No, there's 5 words that I kind of live my life by, and it's credited to Confucius. It's
Okay.
forget injuries, never forget kindness.
Right,
And
go
when
ahead.
you look at somebody like that, like Hitler, he remembered every injury very well.
Right.
He never looked at any kindness. There's a story, too, that when he was 4 years old, a Catholic priest saved him from drowning. And the Nazis hated Catholics, which kind of makes it amusing.
So wait, what do we want to know about Hitler again?
We want to know what do we want to know? Whether Hitler's father was a priest, rabbi? Is that what we're looking at?
Stepfather.
Stepfather. Okay.
Was a rabbi with an
I mean,
alcohol
that makes
problem.
sense, yeah.
His dad was a civil servant. We'll figure this out. I'm gonna get to the bottom.
Okay,
of it.
Grayson, all right.
But
What-
the addiction to methamphetamines is very easy to find. It's all over the place.
Well, there's lots of photos of Stalin smoking a cigarette, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty common photo. I've never seen Hitler smoking a cigarette or...
That's
What
what I'm
is-
saying. He
when
was
they did-
strong anti-drug, but that's kind of like Elvis. He thought that was medication and it wasn't
Right.
drugs.
Well, when they did methamphetamine back in, what was it? We're talking about 1939 to 45. What method did they use?
He was getting injections every day as well as like pills.
Wow, okay. Who was shooting up Hitler?
He had a doctor who was his personal physician that they did research on that turned out to be a syphilis specialist.
Well, you know a lot about this.
Yeah.
Do you talk about this much? Does it come up in conversation?
It's one of those things of like, it's easy to think that, like when before he kind of lost his mind, they were talking to Charles Manson when he kind of had it. And he was like, you people love me because it was right during Nixon and Watergate and the country was going just ape shit over Vietnam. And he's like, y'all like having a bad person to point your finger at. And it's the thing of you can study how spiritual people become spiritual, but it's also a thing of I've studied how monsters became monsters. And it's a lot easier for people to do than you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to go, oh, he went to jail. I used to run around and do all kinds of drugs 20 years ago and carry handguns all the time. I easily could have gone to prison.
Right.
But for the grace of God, I'm not.
Well,
it's
Aidi
real
was
easy
just-
to go, oh, this guy's in jail making beard oil. I could have been there.
Right, and so what I've decided to do is actually, encourage him to. So we're working together.
How did you meet this guy in prison?
Again, it's confidential, but.
Well, there's 3
but my
ways.
clients-
You could have met him in prison.
Right.
You could have met him before he went to prison, or I
Yeah.
guess he could have written to you randomly on Facebook or something.
Through a client, through another client.
Is this part
a
of your
referral?
Is this part of your job?
It is.
So
it
he's
is. It's
paying
part-
you, or you
no,
just doing?
No. This is someone that I just want to help get through his time. Yeah.
How long is he in there for?
So
You can't say.
Orleans
anything?
Parish Prison.
He's in Orleans
It's
Parish
complicated because he could be in there for a few years or 20 years or move to federal prison or
So he's in OPP waiting for trial.
Yes.
Oh, he could be there for a while.
Right.
Or he could be out tomorrow. If he knows, does he know somebody?
No.
He knows you.
No.
Do
Well,
you,
yeah.
do you know
I'm
somebody?
going to help. I know a lot of people.
Okay, well, you can get him out. He could be out this afternoon if we know who to call.
I guess. No, that's not the case, though.
You don't think?
No. But,
did he kill someone allegedly?
no. I mean, no. I don't know.
Well, even if he did, that would be no problem either.
Right.
These guys get out pretty easy out of OPP if they know someone.
Right. This is not the case. Yeah.
Okay.
But
we can't help you.
Anyway, so
I don't know, so he's making beard oil.
Right.
Out of what an OPP exactly?
No, not there. Just before, and so I got all of this
Before he went into
right,
prison.
right. Yeah. So I
So
got
he
all
was-
of
It's
this.
limited edition then. There's not going to be a new stock made.
But how? But this goes against your whole argument because he was being creative and then ended up.
Right. Well, this is in between sentencing, and so yeah. So it's complicated, and I don't really know all the details, but I think that to be in prison, you have to have a certain mindset. You got to keep your shit together. You need to be able to think of every day as a day to stay grounded, and so whether you're in prison or not, obviously, so I just want to see what I can do to help him.
How did we get onto this beard oil?
I just took it out of I saw all of these beards, and I'm like,
beard
hey, wait.
oil with Hitler, man.
All right,
here we go.
We are really talking a bunch of shit, aren't we? That's great.
Hitler did not have a stepfather, apparently. Apparently that was an old myth. An old myth that existed for a while. Recently debunked. But his dad did die when he was like pretty young. So he's got a really weird family life. His dad died suddenly.
Like the myth part was wrong, but I guarantee you they have methamphetamine galore about
That is true.
That's true.
The methamphetamine that holds up, Grayson, according to your research.
Holds up completely.
Okay. All right.
So let's put it this way.
Never knew that.
If you take any of the whack jobs we got that have like big time racial stuff, imagine if they were a massive tweaker with all the power of the German army.
Who are we talking about? Trump?
No. I'm just talking about if you gave anybody who's kind of out of their mind to begin with that much power, bad things are going to happen.
Well, we're not far from it, are we?
No, we're not.
No.
You look who's running the whole show here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So, Aidi, anyway, there you were with your mom had ALS.
Yes.
And you couldn't paint anymore because you had a separated bone in your hand and some sort of tendon issues.
So
what happened?
So my career started taking a little
You couldn't paint.
slope. Downward slope. And so it gave me a lot of time to think. And then my mom passed away right after that. And I started having dreams with her right after she passed away. And I would hear things like her favorite musicians, and so I'm half Costa Rican, and so to hear, some of the musicians that I grew up with listening to, like just at Target or something, was bizarre.
You grew up in Costa Rica?
No. I grew up here, but my mom was Costa Rican.
So she would play Costa Rican music that you would then hear in Target?
Right, like
Did you
just
start
in
to
different
worry about
places,
yourself?
and I heard her name, and I would hear things, just synchronicities would happen throughout the day, and all relating to her, and so I was curious about this, and so I started reading a lot about mediums and psychic intuition, and so what happens with the sixth sense and how our society suppresses that sense, and so then that tied into religion, and it tied into this patriarchal society. It tied into so many things, and so now we're talking about tantric healing and intuition, and so my work has just blossomed. And so painting, I miss it, but this is so much more interesting because I'm helping people get in touch with their intuitive side.
So so you're a healer now? You're a psychic?
I am kind of a healer,
See, this is what
but
it
I
says in
empower
my-
people to heal themselves. That's really the direction that I'm going
That's
in.
what it says here in my extensive research that Graham gave me. It says you're a psychic energy healer.
Yes.
I just read that right now.
Right.
You're a psychic energy healer.
Yes.
Okay, so what does that mean? So we come to you with...
So
do you call it Reiki, right?
Right. So Reiki is different. Reiki is where you just kind of do the healing using the chakras, and you wave your hands over and people. So what I do is it's a lot like this. Like we could all be in a session right now,
Could we?
And we certainly are. I mean,
I might need some healing.
Yeah.
I got bit by a spider on my finger. Can you help me with that? I didn't mean to flip you off.
Did you
but-
really get
Yeah,
bit
look
by
at
a
that fucking
spider?
shit, man. It sucks.
And you're a guitar player as well.
Yeah, that's not a good thing
Hey,
to have.
before we get into this session, though, how much is this?
Yeah.
how much it's a
Yeah,
session?
what do we pay for
Yeah, for one
So-
spider bite.
Can
Heal.
we-
What do you
So
charge?
it's $150 an hour.
I'll pay that any
$150 an hour.
minute.
You
now.
want to stump it up for all of
Fuck
us?
yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
This one's on you then.
It'll be
Right.
in tip bucket singles, but I can make it. It'll be all right. I got
Money is
stack.
money.
That's what's up.
Well, I did want to address one thing. So, typically speaking, psychics and mediums and intuitive healers usually have like this witchy, wart on the face, like crystal ball, and so I do
You had
my
the wart
best.
removed?
I had the wart removed,
Right.
and I lost 20 pounds, and I wear form-fitting dresses. No, I just,
Boy,
I
do
work.
you? That's a great dress, by the way.
Thank you.
Just had to point that out because it's a great dress. I mean that respectfully.
Are you
Miss
psychic
Kansas.
as well? Do you know that people are? Can you read people?
Yes. I can read people, and I can read hypersexuality. I can this whole
Hypersexuality.
table.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm
Wait.
the only woman.
Yeah.
Like this whole table is about to lift off. And so,
Since you said that, I was looking for a place to hide. It's too late.
What is hypersexuality?
so
You know.
Well, I know what I think it is, but what is the real definition of it?
I mean,
Everybody
okay.
wants to fuck you.
Right. Well, no, it's not that. It's just that so men and women behave differently, and society allows men to be more sexual, and so
Does
women.
it?
Well, of course. I mean, we
do you-
hear
what-
about men masturbating, but we don't talk about women masturbating.
Where would you hear about that?
Where?
I do.
Where don't you
Where do
hear
you hear
about
about
it?
that?
Yeah.
Well, I talk about women masturbating all the time.
Where do you hear about men masturbating all the time?
I mean, it's just everywhere.
Is
It's
it?
it's kind of a known fact. I mean, I have a 14-year-old, almost 15, and
that's the
he got the
difference.
talk. He got the talk when he was 10, 11, and so what I do is I'm an observer, and over the years, I've observed how my clients behave and how they interact with their children. And so I know for a fact that people do not talk to their daughters about masturbation and their female sexuality in a sex-positive way. It is just not being done. And,
Do people talk to their sons about masturbation?
of course, they do.
Do they?
I have.
You have?
I mean,
My dad
absolutely.
had that talk with me when
Most
I was around
fathers
7. Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Andrew,
most
did you
fathers
get-
do.
I didn't get that talk.
Me neither. I'm
figured
still
it out.
waiting.
Wait, do you need the talk?
John?
You was
Yes.
like that?
No talks. When I was 14, my mother gave me an Econo box of Trojans and suggested I don't do it in her house.
See, that's a lot, though. That's more
Yeah.
than most girls get. Coming from a Latino background,
Oh, yeah,
my
definitely.
family, family full of women, everyone married and divorced 3 and 4 times.
Okay.
So we were just told, listen, we know what you are. We know the power that you have. Do not get pregnant, and if you do not come here.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Did they tell you how to not get pregnant?
No.
No one
It's
actually
not-
mentioned that.
No one did. No.
I don't think people typically, in my experience anyway, talk about masturbation at all. I think that's not in your family. It's what you get from your friends at school.
No, and it's not correct. That's not the way to
No?
do it. No,
Well,
not
maybe
at
it's
all.
not the way to do it. That is how it's done.
Right, but if you think about why it's done that way, before the advent of organized religion, okay, and I'm talking about like the 8th century, okay, there was a partnership. No, a partnership. There was not a patriarchal God. It was a divine, feminine, and male God, and they were both used in the partnership model to make decisions about art and sex and commerce, and so everything was weighed in equally for feminine and masculine.
Where is this exactly we're talking about?
It's everywhere.
No, but
like,
where in that century are we talking
like
about?
tantric, Buddhist.
So this is in India.
Yeah, before.
and-
Yes, before Christianity, before. Yeah,
And is
yeah.
it still like that in India? I wouldn't know.
So the Hindus can certainly appreciate the partnership, but it's been more than 3,000 years, and we're functioning on a patriarchal God, and so a
Well,
judgmental, a wrathful
Yeah, we came up
God.
with this idea of we were going to hell.
Yes,
and
yes. And so you can understand that, I mean, there was, people didn't even get married back then. So the institution of marriage actually was implemented during this time. And it was that time that people started to get really uncomfortable about sex. And so all of these restrictions were placed on people and women especially. And it still holds true today. It's 2017, and even though the pill came out in 1970, women still don't understand that sex is for enjoyment. It's not just for procreation. And I guess over the research, I just think now that religion is about numbers. It is about just keeping people within this, this parameter to keep the numbers going.
You think the average woman in America still doesn't have sex for fun? Up till a certain point.
I think, I don't think they're doing it to procreate, although I know a lot of people that are religious that still believe that, Catholics don't allow the birth control pill. Yeah. And I know people my age who can't take the birth control. They just don't use birth control.
Right.
And it's not because they want to have children. It's because someone told them, religious power, that it's not allowed. And so if that's not allowed, masturbation certainly isn't allowed. Exploring your body is certainly not allowed.
What is the big deal about masturbation?
Okay, so men.
You can't shake hands with Jesus and with your pocket.
This is my subject, actually.
Sweet.
Yes.
So I just think that when men orgasm, it's different than when female orgasms. I think the energy is different. And so I think someone mentioned that, in the East, we've got the monks and their abstinence and they, remain celibate. And it is because the energy, when you masturbate too much, okay?
How much is too much?
Okay, see, I'm not going in that. I don't know. I mean,
wait, but I just heard this a couple days ago that for all men to avoid prostate cancer and shit, you have to have at least 20 some odd freaking ejaculations a month. So that's like a daily fucking spank session, or
so daily.
Or sex. You could have sex with
right.
That
doesn't matter how.
Sometimes.
Except right. So daily.
Doesn't have to be the same person.
That's a good point.
Right. So daily, and so
daily.
that's great, and I'm sure it's done. It's not a problem. But what happens is, and we were talking about female and
talking about women.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So the thing is, in certain religions, they say, if we're going to meditate and we're going to do this and be spiritual, we have to remain abstinent or we can't masturbate. And the reason why is because if it's done too much, then your dopamine levels become skewed, okay? And it actually, too much of an intense orgasm can create almost like it's called an intense hangover, sex hangover. And so it can mess with your dopamine levels and your levels of happiness, your outlook. And so what happens with men is they turn to porn, addiction, drinking, overeating, porn. A lot of porn. And so it's not satisfying. It doesn't satisfy you anymore. And so there's a chemical neurotransmitter called prolactin that gives you the indicator. It's an indicator that says, okay, we're done. Go do something else. And so that becomes depleted. And so,
this is from too much sex.
Yes. It's too much. No. Too many orgasms. No matter how you get them. Right. And so that becomes a problem too, because the prolactin actually suppresses dopamine levels.
Hang on, this
is more depressing than the Hitler talk. Holy shit! What the fuck? How do we get more depressing?
Wait.
Sexual pathways are the same
for
neural
men
pathways as cocaine.
It's not the same.
They're the same neural pathways as cocaine.
It is.
Sexual activity, it's this cortex, it screws down. It's the same neural pathways as cocaine.
Wow.
Right. So,
holy fuck, I'm a fucked up human being, man.
Right.
You've been wasting your time doing both.
Shit, I got to get another beer. This is fucked up.
So, but what happens also is the dopamine releases all of these feel-good chemicals, but there's a novelty aspect to it. And so, when these chemicals are released, you actually, don't want to bond with the partner anymore. A novelty.
Really?
Yeah. It just, like you want something new
so
because
this is natural.
Yeah, it is a natural
After
thing.
you
And
have
so
sex
I can
with someone,
see.
you don't want to talk to them. That's
right.
natural.
And women have an attachment. That's why women are attached easier than men.
What's the explanation for that exactly?
Oh, well, Mother Nature, just
but
has
what's the chemical difference between a male orgasm and a female orgasm? A male orgasm ends with not wanting to make an attachment, and a female orgasm ends with wanting to make an attachment.
Yes.
Chemically.
Oxytocin creates a bond. And so when we have our children, that is actually, it kicks in so that we can nurture our children. The thing is, it also kicks in after you have sex with someone. So the way
as
to
a
woman, yes.
Only.
Men don't have that problem as much. The problem is awareness. And so what I do with my clients who are dealing with, casual sex happened and I I thought he was going to call me. Now I'm hooked on him. I can't let him go. So I bring awareness to my clients about all of these different subjects. And so I think that awareness is the key to everything.
Oh, my God, there's so many questions.
So once you become aware that we're all kind of we are susceptible to our primal elements, right? Our evolutionarily adapted chemical forces that pull us toward, what is sexually stimulating to us.
Right.
Where do you make the distinction between that's just how we are as humans and where you decide to transcend those things and decide that we've evolved to become a species that has this metaphor that we call a heart?
Right.
And, where do you decide to transcend, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I believe, and I know that when you decide, like a drug addict wants to get into recovery, okay, so you can, you can get this information, you can know this information, and the awareness is what it is. You don't have to act on it. You can decide, because we have free will, you can decide, I want more than this. I don't want to be addicted to porn. I don't want to be addicted to drugs. And so, I think that human behavior, we have the ability to change the trajectory of, the path of addiction.
Right. Yeah. Our evolutionarily adapted path,
right.
which has its benefits, right?
Absolutely.
Being attracted to the opposite sex is what's going to make the species continue.
Exactly. And how do you think I get most of my clients?
Right.
But I thought you were talking about the opposite problem, which is women not having an orgasm, not having too many orgasms.
Right, and so
what's the deal with
so
that?
we know all the good feeling chemicals that are released during an orgasm, and so what I've done is I have basically taken meditation as a gateway to self pleasure, and for women, it's hard for women to meditate, and men can meditate, and a little easier, in my opinion. And the reason why is because y'all can compartmentalize your world. Women, we are so emotionally connected to everything. Everything matters to us. So when we are talking and something's happening between the two of us, I'm thinking and talking to you, but I'm thinking about my son, my kid, my neighbor, whatever. You're just thinking about what is happening. This is the way it is. You even have a nothing box that you can sit and just do nothing. And so I've heard lots of my female clients say, my husband can just sit there and do nothing, and it's so infuriating. And I think that's admirable, actually. I totally dig that. And so what I do is I share this information with women, and I said, let me get you to that place of nothing in a blissful state.
Which is?
So you sit in lotus position, and you just cup your vagina, and you softly...
You had me at cup your vagina.
Right. And so you
Should we try this at home?
You can do whatever you want. But I've done the research. It works. So it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you're sitting down with your legs crossed.
Right. Your legs crossed or laying down. And the thing is, because music is such a vibrational, elevator, you can listen to any music that you want. I have a client who can't meditate, but when I told her it was okay for her to listen to Black Sabbath, she was all over it.
Okay, so you turn on Black Sabbath.
Right. You cup your
masturbate.
Vagina, and you
lightly
just place your fingers on your clitoris. Okay? And in less than 5 minutes, you will be meditating. And meditation, now, I mean, the thing is, it takes a lot of practice. And so this is one of those instances where if you fuck up, you just end up having an orgasm. So it's a great way to...
How bad could it be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is a win-win for everybody all the time. And so...
Unless you're having too many, and then you've got a whole oxytocin problem.
No. Actually, for women, it's not as big of a problem as it is for men.
Okay.
Wait, put me there. So when you're describing this, and then you allow the person to go home and try this in the privacy of their own home, or do you? That's the deal, right?
So, yes.
That's a good question, Andrew. Could you do it in yoga class?
Well, I'm asking, like, do you just stand outside the door and okay, this is what you need to do?
Right. I call it Clit Sit Meditation.
Clit Sit Meditation.
Oh, man. This is so much
Write
less
that down,
depressing
write
than
that
the
down.
Hitler thing. This is getting better and better. Yay.
Yeah.
Have you registered that trade name?
No.
You might want to do that.
Have you made
before.
T-shirts? Or?
I'm on my way.
But I have a question, though. So is there the opposite? Okay, so you say...
Okay, so men don't need this, okay? Men actually need more spirituality. You guys are coming way too much, and men and women need to have more orgasms. You guys need to have less.
Because isn't the word hysteria based on women not having enough orgasms?
Right, and so in the 1900s, there were a couple of doctors who found that there was a correlation between the lack of orgasms that women were experiencing and what was being labeled as hysteria. And so they were manually stimulating women until the carpal tunnel set in, and they had a bone separation and shredded ligament.
That was a job at some point. It was getting women off in your office.
Yeah. And so,
how would you train for that? Was it medical? Was it a medical?
You
job?
know how.
Was that a doctor who did that?
Yeah, two doctors. Yeah,
2 doctors.
Yes.
And when are we talking about?
1900s.
1900s.
Right.
That's all Victorian stuff and Victorian repression of women, when she was talking about women aren't sexually liberated. And I guess it's easy to forget because we live in New Orleans where we still have problems and all, but we're the least segregated city you'll ever be in. Even though...
As far as men and women
but there's a Madonna whore complex happening here.
Yeah, as far as gay, straight, black, white, men,
Madonna
women...
or your whore. There's no in between.
Everything is shoved on top of each other in New Orleans. If you think about it, you can be in a great $1 million house and you can walk to a place that's a really bad neighborhood in New Orleans. And the thing is we aren't as segregated. I mean, you've got the gay bars along with the Catholic churches and everything else. So it's kind of like it's hard to remember that there's still places, though, in America where it's very Victorian. If they have a strip club, it's like out on the city limits. It can't be anywhere near downtown.
Plus we have a very sexualized society, I would think, in New Orleans. I mean, you go to Mardi Gras and people are half naked.
This is true, but up until a few years ago, this is true.
Yeah.
There were 7 states you could buy a shotgun or assault rifle in. You could not buy a vibrator or dildo in.
Yep, I believe it.
There were 7 states it was illegal to own a sex toy, but there was no problem with buying an AK-47 with a 40-round clip. And then we can't figure out why we have the problems we do.
I think that men are threatened when they realize that a woman can seek pleasure on her own. Sometimes it is a scary thought, Not everybody, but I think that...
I mean, I have to say, there seems to be an incredible amount of generalization here.
Right. Well, my generalizations stem from
experience.
My experience.
Right.
This is not... I'm not being general. I'm being just true to my experiences and things that I've accumulated over time.
You find in the clients that you're seeing or in your friends, or what is it, that all these women who are having sexually repressed?
I'm 45.
Okay.
I've been around a while now.
So this is not just your clients. These are your friends and your girlfriends you went to school with and your neighbors.
Yes. I have...
And how many what percentage of these women have never had an orgasm in your experience?
Okay, that's, consistently or just one or so we can divide this up by themselves or with their partners. I know women that have regular orgasms by themselves but never have orgasms with their partners.
And do their partners know that?
Well, but they fake it. Yeah, I know all of that.
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking, do people
this is the thing. So a man there's value in the performance of his, ability to make a woman orgasm.
These are all heterosexual couples you're talking
No. This is same-sex couples. This is,
well.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to make that clear. All right. So this is about being uninhibited. This is about, your religious background, your childhood, all the stigma that is placed with masturbation in our society. So women still are struggling. They really are. And so the thing is, people ask me, I want to be intuitive. Like, I want to learn how to be a psychic. I want to tune into that plane. And I think that I got really... a lot more intuitive when I started doing my meditation, and so when I cupped my vagina, it got better. So I think that's the gateway to
spiritualize.
Opening up your intuitive sense. I really do.
But did you just notice how we're all
y'all
8-year-old boys?
Yeah, I
it's
did.
Like, we're listening and we're paying attention, and we respect everything you're saying. But then you said, I got my vagina. We're like,
oh, I know.
Sorry.
But I'm thinking the gateway to spirituality is your clitoris.
Yes, it is. I
have to write that one down as well, guys.
Please do.
Okay.
Can you email me that?
That word?
Actually, text me.
Just a word.
I am interested in in whether this is this revolutionary thinking? Is this your own? I mean,
no. I mean, there are people that have been doing tantric healing for a long time. I haven't looked into too many people, but there's a woman. Her name is Salm Isadora, who is a huge proponent of human sexuality and meditation and understanding sex positive. Platform where we can inform, just educate people about how sexual, spiritual need to merge to heal the world.
Okay, so that's not your because I thought spirituality.
Right.
Even in the list of the the Tree of Life chakra illustration,
the chakras, yeah.
That the sexuality is at the bottom and spirituality is at the top.
Right. So I work from the bottom up.
Right.
Okay.
But
cool.
I didn't know they were actually connected in a sense.
Right.
I thought you progressed from one to the other and then you sort of left sexuality behind.
If you think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're all stuck in this survival, like the latter part of the hierarchy.
Yeah, but traditionally, don't you get to a spiritual enlightenment once you've left all the material crap behind?
Yeah, but how many people are stuck surviving, like not being able to let go of the past?
But just answer the question.
No?
Isn't that the typical pathway? That
it
you
is
transcend.
Yeah, but it's not the typical pathway. I think that people can choose in the healing arts. You can choose if you're going to go top to bottom or bottom to top.
You can.
Yeah, you can.
You can start off enlightened and end up just fucking like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people do it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, it makes more sense to me to get through the root chakra, which is your tribe, your family, all the beliefs. Systems, and getting through the traumas, and then your sacral chakra is where it all happens. These are all the emotional powerhouse of your body in terms of the energy center. And so right there is where your genitalia is. And so all the mistakes, all the people we've slept with or didn't sleep with, or, who we can communicate with, for men and women, this affects us deeply in terms of enlightenment.
So by touching your clitoris, is it clitoris or clitoris? I can never remember.
I mean,
it's pretty much.
Yeah,
which one? Is it both?
It's tomato.
I thought one was what I learned in New Zealand, and the other was what I learned here. But no, I can't. Right. I never remember which one it is. What do you say?
I say clitoris.
You say clitoris. Right. Okay, let's say that then. So you say that by touching your clitoris, you can become more spiritually aware. Do you have to have an orgasm to get there?
No.
Just touch it.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm talking about
Can I touch your clitoris? And you?
Yeah, no.
You have to do it yourself.
Right.
Why do you look so disgusted?
Well, no, I'm not disgusted. I'm just like, you're fucking with me. I know it.
Not really.
Okay, so actually, no, that is funny because there is a place in New York and San Francisco. It's called Orgasmic Meditation. And there is a guy. You could go and check it out and maybe be this guy. But I think he's called the Flicker. And what he does is, I think he manipulates, all of the people are having orgasms because they understand the connection between enlightenment and the body, and so
This is where a guy will do it for you. I know.
And
all
so
about
I'm trying to scale back. This is not going to happen. This is not what I'm comfortable
You're not
with.
doing that.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to find a way for women to just get centered, focused, and empower them to open up to the sixth sense.
So, when you meditate, the goal often is to quiet the mind, right? And
right, that's what you're doing.
But you're talking about meditation with an element of an orgasm achieval. So when you get closer to that,
right before,
quieting the mind, you would have sexual thoughts, perhaps. Are you attempting not to have sexual thoughts?
So there's different stages, and so when you're sitting and you have some time to quiet your mind, for women, we can hold our clitoris and not have an orgasm. I mean, you can be in a place where you just want to create some quiet, some grounding, and then you can do this. And this is what the emphasis is. The emphasis is on just quieting your mind and allowing the nothing box that guys have to happen for us. We're not necessarily thinking about sex, although if it happens, good for you, you know. But I'll tell you, the more orgasms you have, there is a link between orgasms and abundance. There is.
Okay.
There is.
This is good news as well.
This is energy. This is how we emanate. This is the energy that we emanate. This is.
So the more orgasms you have, the better the richer your life is in all senses.
If I'm a business owner and I'm cranky and you can tell that I'm uptight sexually or whatever, you're not going to want to buy my sandwich. You're not going to come back to my sandwich shop. But if I'm like loosey-goosey and like having a good day, like I'm just in a better mood, you're going to buy my sandwich, right?
Right.
Right.
I always thought that was just smoking weed, but I guess I could
Well, if you're hungry, I mean, but I'm telling you, though, this is where the primal, you know, just the way we behave is just, you know, we want to be in a place where it feels positive. And women, because of the way we've been brought up in society, it's difficult for us. And so it is, like I said, you know, just to be able to incorporate meditation into your everyday life, it matters. It makes a difference.
Okay, I have to ask you this question. When you walk around, have you noticed on lampposts and other places a white sign with red writing that says love on it?
Yes.
Have you seen that all over town?
Love it.
And you know who the guy behind that is? John Hebert is sitting right next to you.
Hey, John. Nice signs.
So
thank you very much.
I want to talk about that in 1 minute, but first of all, I'm going to have to make John and Lisi play something.
All right.
Okay.
What are you thinking of playing here, John?
Well, since we had all this sex talk, let's do a song about jumping through puddles naked with somebody. All right. Right?
All right.
Song called Break in the Rain. Oh, baby, I see a break in the rain. Baby, I see a break in the rain. Baby, I see a break in the rain. Let's go stomping through the puddles, naked holding hands. Stomping through the puddles, naked holding hands. Stomping through the puddles, naked holding hands. Stomping through the puddles, baby, naked holding hands. I see the sun is sinking low. Oh, baby, I see the sun is sinking low. Oh, baby, I see the sun is sinking low. We'll lay here in the tall grass, nobody gonna know. Lay here in the tall grass, nobody gonna know. We'll lay here in the tall grass, nobody gonna know. We'll lay here in the tall grass, nobody gonna know. Seems that you and the moon be getting tired. It seems that you and the moon be getting tired. Seems that you and the moon be getting tired. Well, mellow down easy, baby, just for a while. Mellow down easy, girl, just for a while. Well, mellow down easy, baby, just for a while. Well, mellow down easy, baby, just for a while, yeah.
Yeah, John Lisi from John Lisi and Delta Funk. Man, that sort of puts you in a trance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thanks, man.
Nice guitar playing as always. Too.
Thanks, man.
What'd you think, Andrew?
That was killer.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Very
Thanks,
nice.
Thanks.
That's
it's
an
a song
original.
about sex.
Love it.
There's not that many songs about sex, are there?
I know. I'm writing as many as I possibly can to change that.
There sure are a lot of songs about fucking, aren't there, when you think about it?
There are.
Pretty
It's what's
much.
on our mind.
All of them.
In
yeah.
our hearts.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody wants love.
Love.
Right.
Okay, so John,
Yes.
everybody in New Orleans has seen these white signs with the red capital letter love written
Yep.
on it, and they're everywhere. There's thousands of them.
When we started off 3.5 years ago, we put up like over 300 in the New Orleans area. And the idea was it was just two old hippies who had a lot of conversations about how most of the religious stuff that really rings true. If you detach yourself from all the theology and who's God's son and all this kind of stuff, you know, Christians have you reap what you sow. Buddhists have karma. What you put out there is coming back to you. And even in bad neighborhoods, they just, you know, what goes around comes around, baby. So there are certain sayings that just kind of hold true no matter how you look at it. And believe it or not, even if you don't look at a religious standpoint, a lot of people have seen, if you've ever seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, and they're in there going, blood, blood, kill, kill, and they say this over and over. But that was actually a research thing the Pentagon did, that they found that new recruits would either shoot over people or would freeze and wouldn't shoot people. Because the idea of killing another human being was just like horrifying. And from Korea to Vietnam, they started saying kill and blood a lot. Just psychologically, new recruits shot and hit things 90% of the time once they started saying kill, kill, kill in basic training. So even if you take it from a psychology standpoint, if you actually just kind of put love up in people's noticeable agenda, would they love each other more? Would there be less road rage, homophobia, racism, rape, etc., etc., etc.?
Well, what's the answer now? We've had 5 years. Has it been 3 years or 5 years?
Well, it's been like 3.5 years. I don't know. You know, some of it gets better, some of it I don't know. I can tell you that, you know, one of the big things I always drew from is, like, my dad was Roman Catholic, and he married my mom, who's a Baptist. And my mom has relatives that, like, pray for my father because they think that Catholics are pagan idolaters and all that and going to hell for sure. So, like, I always think of the fact that Martin Luther King was a Southern Baptist, but he saw what Gandhi did, and by that time Gandhi had been shot, but he took his entire family and went and lived with Gandhi's relatives, like, in India. And for, like, a Southern Baptist to go, I don't care what you call it, that's what we need. That's the hand of God. And if you think about Gandhi or MLK, they didn't have any guns. They didn't have any power. If you were betting on the front end, you wouldn't have bet they were going to get anything they wanted. And all these guys did was walk around and talk to people. They didn't have armies. They didn't blow up bombs. They didn't commit terrorism.
Well, what's the difference between Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and you?
Nothing.
I'm not trying to throw myself in the same category, but I'm working off the same idea.
No, I mean, what makes somebody a world leader like that, a statesman?
They
like
weren't related to Bobby Hebert, the other two.
What does, though? What elevates someone like that?
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things of, and you know, part of the reason too, like, we didn't want this to be about us. We were hiding our names for a long time.
I thought it was a secret who was
we
doing
were,
this.
and that was kind of the fun of it because it got people to talk about it more. Like, I even heard for a while in the first year they were talking about it was a promotion for Prince playing Essence Fest in 2015, and that was one of my favorites actually. Right. But we left it alone, and then we were on the national news, and they said they're going to hide our identities. But you see the side of my face and hear my voice, I'm like. Not that y'all would know who I am who don't know me, but I'm like, every one of the people that know me go, oh, I know that dude.
Your mom called you right up.
Yeah, as soon as they heard my voice and saw the side of my face, they're like, yeah, I know who that is.
Well, you have a very distinctive voice, I'll say that's for sure. Have you always had this voice?
Yeah, but it kind of, part of it came from, I was born here, went to elementary and high school, like in Monroe, where they filmed that wonderful Duck Dynasty export of culture and enrichment. And then I lived in Baton Rouge, lived back here in the 90s, then I lived in South Florida for like 10 years.
This graveliness.
Yeah, Grant and Monroe, 5-year-olds talk just like that, actually.
It's the Marlboro Reds for breakfast,
That's
in Monroe. That usually does it, yeah.
So you decided to put your money where you... Most people would have these conversations with them, had a few drinks in a bar, and say, you know, it'd be cool if we put the word love all around town. Maybe it would change things, and then in the morning you go to work and forget about it. But what made you actually do it?
The odd thing was, it's a mix of two friends. My friend had the idea, and if you can believe this, he is my friend, but he's very introverted and shy and neurotic.
Well,
and he was
that's
like,
a good balance.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm afraid to hang these signs up. And he even said, you might get a $25, $50 fine for hanging them. I'm like, compared to other stuff I've done, you really think I'm afraid of this?
So you put it kind of high on the pole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your process? Do you bring a ladder? Do you have kind of a...
The most of them we're doing with, a step ladder and then, like, nails and all that.
Cool. Okay.
We're doing roof and nails.
So what if there could be more of like I'm just imagining a staple gun on a big pole where you could just kind of come and hit it and run, you know?
The interesting
really
thing is
make it stealthy.
It's very small. We have gotten some, like, blah, 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 that's all we need is more trash.
Right.
But that's only about 5 to 10% of the time. It's very rare. But the one thing I know is from people that own clubs and all that and coffee houses, there's something about they hate staples.
Yeah.
So we either did roofing nails because it's only 1 or 2. It's not like tons of staples. Or I take a screwdriver or a knife and put holes in the top and do a twist tie.
Yeah.
And the thing is actually like because there was a principal who's a principal of 3 charter schools uptown.
Yeah.
She asked us will we do it. We went around to like the schoolyards. We turned around to where they're facing the playground and like twist tied them on there. Because it's on a metal fence.
Sometimes it's on, a pole, and you're not going to ask anybody to put it on the pole. You're just going to put it on the pole. But then other times it's at someone's establishment, and you go in and ask, can I put this sign up? Is that what you do?
We don't usually ask. We've had people, like the lady from Tipitina's got in touch with friends of ours. This is before even people knew who we were. That kind of started happening to where, like, oh, yeah, you know those guys? I want some for, like, my front store window and all that. Yeah. We actually kind of, like, snuck around to the flag shop and just dumped a bunch of flags there. I don't know if they sold them or gave them away. We like dump love flags at the love store.
So this is parallel to the movement of street art in general, where people are just, listen, I'm going to do this, I'm going to quickly make my mark and then, create a positive impact, and I love it. I think it works.
Without a doubt. It's the thing of, like I was saying in New Orleans, while we still probably have some different, bad attitudes, maybe a little bit, and some anger. New Orleans is one of the few places, it's not like there's like some suburban land for miles that way away from the urban center and all that. All of New Orleans is so mixed up, and it's like, I have a gay aunt that came to live with us when I was young. A lot of my mom's friends were gay. My godparent is gay. And we had, even growing up in Monroe, we had people of color and homosexuals in my house. And if you want to talk trash about my family, me and my mom were big bar fighters, and I've had my nose broke more times than I can count. That's before I kind of like grew up a little bit.
There's the voice, a deviated septum. Okay, now I can figure it out.
Until I kind of got over myself, a lot of this was I'm right and you're wrong. Even, when he brought up, of course you're going to get the comparisons between Hitler and, Orange Julius Caesar is going to come up.
Why are we going back to Hitler again, bro?
No, but I'm just saying, even with that, I don't want to fight nobody no more,
Right. What about your mom?
What about her?
Is she still a big bar fighter?
Yeah. She's not a big bar fighter anymore, but this would not surprise anybody who knows my mom.
Okay.
She was somewhat legendary. There's a story of her in the 80s being at some restaurant, and Mick Jagger had to ask her to be quiet so he could finish his dinner.
Nice.
Because she was like raising so much cane and throwing things and telling jokes and stuff.
Wow. Where is she now, Mom?
My mom and dad, actually, my dad is a semi-retired doctor who took a assignment there up in Waldron, Arkansas, which is way up in Arkansas. Okay. It's way up in Walmart land.
Have you sent them any love signs?
Yeah, they got one in their yard. They've got flags, T-shirts. They've got all the paraphernalia.
Oh, you do flags as well, and T-shirts.
We do flags, T-shirts. I have a T-shirt on.
So is this like a franchise thing or whatever that's called? Where you make some money out of it?
It's definitely not for profit. Part of it is that we took, my friend Drew, we took a lot of inheritance. Unfortunately, his mom died 4 years ago, and he was trying to figure out what to do with the money. Yeah, he got himself a new car and all that, but he was like, I want to do something more than just for me. And that's when we first put the Love campaign out. We weren't even putting our names on it because we wanted it to be bigger than us.
So he financed it.
Yeah, he financed the beginning of it. I don't even think we came close to breaking even. We've sold stuff. I do a lot of yoga at Swan River, and they're friends of mine, so they've like put a lot of the stuff up for sale and all that. At the same time, though, if anybody asks, I will give them a T-shirt or sign out of my car if I have one.
You got an extra medium?
T-shirt? Yeah.
I don't know.
You can tell the musicians in the room.
Yeah.
Well, a free shirt.
Like
a clean shirt? Whoa, a clean shirt.
Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, even if we sell stuff for like $10 or $15, we give so much stuff away, I don't know if we've ever like reaped a profit.
Sure.
Also, recently I got into a thing of, from yoga, there's like, there was some girl going to Barcelona. There was this young married couple that were moving to Chile.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I know somebody that's going to a major city or an area like that, I'm like, take some love signs with you. So, like, piecemeal, we're starting to get them out there. I've mailed, like, some to Boston, L.A., Chicago, Detroit, Birmingham, Alabama, Seattle, Washington. So piecemeal, we're getting it all over the place.
Would it be possible to use the power of the internet to maybe send templates around or get people excited about making their own love signs?
One of the better things is in New Orleans, I don't know if you saw this, and I ended up meeting the guy. After we did that, there was a black sign that was love in different colors, and it was in a square pattern. Mm-hmm. And I actually met him, and he was a non-denominational preacher, actually, who does yoga. I met him. Couldn't have been nicer. His last name was Love, and he was actually like, oh, I hope you don't mind we copied. And I said, no, we don't mind you copied. That's the idea.
Right, of course.
That it is bigger than me and Drew, that we do want to, like, how I got over my own issues in life was a lot of people putting up with me being a jackass and a lot of my bad behavior and not growing up. And, it's what made me. There are times still, like, because of New Orleans and the streets, and there's some second line, like, you were late today. I didn't know there was going to be a second line or a train, and I get stuck.
We're just blocking the streets. We're just blocking. You ever saw that? Never mind. Sorry.
I've shortcutted through bad neighborhoods, forgot I put a love sign up, and I will be in my car going, "You stupid mother!" And I'll look up and see a sign I put up, and actually go, "Oh yeah, this is not how I'm supposed to be acting," because we're human beings.
Sure.
It's a reminder.
Yeah, it reminds me how I'm supposed to be acting.
Sure.
So can I say something?
Yes,
what I admire about this is the fact that it's a man doing it. You are expressing love. We have a problem in our society with men growing up telling our boys that they can't cry, they can't break down. Buck up, stop acting like a girl. I've seen it off the field and on the field, and so this is a very important message, and I think it's a ton more powerful than, we're even talking about it. I think that your thoughts become your reality. And so when people start to look at this, I think, subliminal messages take place. And when you see them, it stays with you. And so it's amazing.
I think it's interesting that you called it, his message, and it's simply one word. It's where we start talking about what it means to love, right?
Right. It's sad and it's amazing all at once. 2017, and we have to teach people how to love. Shouldn't be that way, and it starts with our children. It starts with, empowering our children to be compassionate. You can't teach, you're not born compassionate. You teach your children how to be compassionate. I've seen children on a playground, and if a child is crying, you can tell who's been taught compassion. There's a child who will say, "Are you okay?" There are kids that run past, back and forth. A child is crying in the playground. I'm a teacher.
Is that always nurture and never nature, the compassion element?
So I've had this discussion with my husband, and so I can't answer
That's
that
Mr.
for real.
Kansas to you, sir.
So we do. We talk nurture.
Was that
nature.
kind of like subtly, like, I've had this with my husband, so...
So y'all are teasing me. It's a nurture and nature argument. It's both.
If you have intuitive powers, don't you know the answer to these questions?
No, I don't. No. I don't. Sometimes things are so close to me, okay? It's like, it's my life, and so I have to figure shit out just like everybody else.
So when you meet someone, can you tell if they're going to be nice or not nice people?
So it's different levels. I think we all can tell if someone is going to vibe with us or not. You can tell.
What is that about?
See, because, look, that actually did happen. Like, okay, that's my crappy little car out there, right? And when I was pulling down Ferret Street, that awesome little, I call it C-3PO, right? And when I was driving down the street and I saw you walking down the street, and I'm like, I guarantee she's doing the podcast. I don't know who she is, but she's looking for an address. I could tell.
There you
right?
go.
I'm like, yeah, and that's why I met you at the door. I'm like, hey, you're doing the podcast
so
too,
nice.
right? It's just,
nice,
and sometimes that synergy is there.
Right.
So it's
right.
kind of cool.
That makes you intuitive as well.
It does.
Well, this is your point, is that we've all got it.
We all have it. And what I'd like to do is, I would like to empower men to know, to just understand that it's not just a spiritual thing that is permission for women to be spiritual. You have it too, and we need to give men permission to be sensitive, to work out all the shit that happened to you growing up.
The great thing is that I
go
grew
to
up
therapy.
in
Go to therapy.
I grew up in 80s in Monroe, so people would make comments about, like, well, there's a lot of gay men at your house, and I'm like, And I probably got a better education in my parents' house sitting around the kitchen table because my mom hung out with artists and decorators and all that than I was getting in high school.
Right.
And guess what? Nobody ever tried to hit on me when I was a child or touch me or any other of the myths.
Right.
But the funny thing I did notice is the people that would be the most angry about it, if I suggested it all, I'd be like, well, I'm around gay men all the time, and they don't cause strong feelings in me. I wonder why they cause strong feelings in you. Or some of the worst fights I ever got into in this world.
Thou doth protest too much.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is being around men who are already beyond the macho concept, and you got to think I'm tough and I'm a man, actually taught me a lot more about being a very, decent person and, how to be a better person, because I don't have to be tough. God forbid you don't think I'm a manly man or I'm a tough guy and all this. So it was a good exposure to basically, just a lot of our concepts. A lot of our concepts of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. But
what was it like?
Gay men have greatly enhanced my life.
What was it like being a gay man in Monroe in the 1980s?
I can only say from the outside looking in, but they basically had one gay bar, and it was famous for...
I'm surprised about that.
There were rednecks. Once again, there are rednecks who would go out there sometimes and wait and jump people and assault them and beat them up because they were in a gay bar.
Yeah, you certainly can't stereotype anything, but you would have to think that if your inner desires are against what society tells you should be, then that is going to be something that builds resiliency and, tests your character. And you're just going to decide who you are, I would imagine, It's easy.
I believe that we all have a spiritual blueprint. There's like a contract that we elected to come back into this world, and we learn our lessons, and we choose the people in our soul circle. We choose our parents, and so to be gay and be born in this world is one of the most courageous things that you can do. You're here to set an example and to be fearless.
Wait,
so,
are you suggesting that before we're born we get to choose our sexuality?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Have you read Many Lives, Many Masters?
I sure have. I've read all of those things with past lives.
Yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah.
And you can masturbate your way into...
Do you think he's full of shit?
Spirituality. That's the main thing.
Not you.
I'm taking
Not
out
you. Me.
You can.
I can. You cannot.
We can't. Guys cannot masturbate their way into higher power.
I mean, this is a whole other hour. We could talk about this
all day.
Well,
we are going to have to talk about it for another hour because we've got to get out of here at this point and make way for paying customers, sadly. But this has been a pretty fascinating happy hour. I think you have to.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you.
I think we've all learned something here. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Very much. Aidi Kansas, A-I-D-I. You can find a link to Aidi's work, including spiritual path to... or the masturbatory path to spiritual enlightenment.
Meditation. It's meditation.
It's called what?
It's called clit cupping.
The Clit Sit Meditation method.
It is, yes.
Okay, the Clit Sit Meditation method. Okay, you can find that on our website. It's neworleans.com. We'll have a link to that. And what's your website called, actually? Do you have one?
Not really, not yet. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Just Google Clit Sit.
Yes.
Okay,
don't Google it. You won't find anything on
really?
it. No,
you
won't.
will.
Okay, all right.
You have to call me directly.
Yeah, you will.
Okay, and John Hebert, thank you very much for being here, and thanks for all the love.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us in New Orleans. Are you still doing it? You keeping going with it?
I'm still doing it. Drew's out of it, so it's only me, so it kind of creeps along. But the thing is, compared to all the years I spent working in psychiatric institutions and a lot of that stuff, for some strange reason, I think this is way more rewarding and doing more good than that.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks. Keep going.
Nice.
John Lisi, nice to see you too. We can still
Always
find
a blast.
you. John Lisi and Delta Funk down on Frenchman Street. And
We're always somewhere.
If
you're a hitman or the IRS, I'm in trouble. Yes, indeed. I'm always
easy to
somewhere.
find.
Yes,
Andrew Duhon continues work on his record. We didn't get to a song today.
Oh, no worries, man.
Next week.
I'll have a new one for you next week.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. Let's get back to that next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being with us. Thank you, too, to Basics Swim and Gym, where you can find a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout and yoga clothes with style, including bikinis, one-pieces, and cover-ups. And everything for beach.
Don't cover up.
Or don't cover up even.
Don't cover
you can
up.
find that on right next to Basics Lingerie. It's on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. Thanks to the Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to the Hangover Destroyer website, hdestroyer.com it's called. And write happy hour on the coupon code, and you too can get 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. And seize the dawn. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our associate producers are Alison Moon and April Stolf. Christian Unruh is our music director, and Jean Valois is our music producer. Thomas Walsh is our technical director. Are you going to play me out of here? And Andrew on harmonica. Our live feed director, if you've been watching this on Facebook Live, are Asher Griffith and Grayson Jernigan. You can go back and watch it on our It's New Orleans Facebook page if you'd like to see what we all look like. Our theme music is currently being played by John Lisi and Andrew Duhon. The theme music at the beginning of the show was played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can sit upright for about an hour while drinking cocktails, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. We can also find other shows we make here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Asciuti live from Commander's Palace, True to the Game with the very funny Chris True, Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the man who ate New Orleans, Unlisted NOLA, a way to buy an unlisted house in New Orleans, and Louisiana Eats with Poppy Chucker. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. And all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook page. Those photos were taken today by Alison Moon. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thanks for subscribing to us. Take a moment, if you've got one, to rate and review us. It only takes a moment, and it does help other people find us, actually. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfare on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Come on down to Wayfare anytime from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. They have a 3-hour happy hour with half-price drinks and half-price food and a brunch on the weekends. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, John Lisi, everyone else around the table here at Wayfare and back at our office at INO Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week on Happy Hour.
Yeah, Grant. Woo!
Yo, if we go to 7-Eleven right now, we can be back in time for the game.
I don't know, man. I don't want to miss kickoff.
Okay, but Gatorade is 2 for $2.50 when I use my 7-Eleven app.
Dude, but kickoff.
But how are we going to stay on top of our game while watching this game if we're not on that 7-Eleven game?
I don't know how.
Keep up, dude. 2 for $2.50 Gatorade with my 7-Eleven app.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, I'm feeling you now.
Thank you.
7-Eleven. Be game day ready. Plus tax where applicable. Valid at participating locations.